Hello and welcome back to the BCS podcast. Don't know what episode, but we're recapping week 8. So I can just go off of that. It's a bit easier. But gentlemen, how was the weekend?
Weekend couldn't have been worse. My team's got outscored 87-3. Couldn't get much worse than that. None of the teams wanted to show up this weekend. And here we are, still in the middle of an ongoing investigation with a little more info, but the big thing is the games that happened this weekend.
For sure, yeah,
most definitely. Let's start it off with the greatest game that never went over: Minnesota versus Iowa. The over/under was 30 points, and the controversial fair catch at the end of the game that costed a touchdown for Iowa.
Okay,
where Minnesota ended up winning 12-10.
Okay,
that's not a fair catch.
Yeah, I don't think it was a fair catch.
Yeah, I don't think it was either. But there's a certain team that wears scarlet and gray who really benefited from Minnesota winning. And actually, believe it or not, there's a certain team that wears maize and blue benefited from Minnesota winning too.
Correct, big time.
Yeah.
It benefited both of us because you guys don't play Iowa. Correct. So, and right now, everyone was like, "Oh man, if it comes down to a tiebreaker, Penn State definitely has the edge because they have Northwestern and Iowa, who both beat Wisconsin and Minnesota, and it's going to come down to that."
I have play football, so hate to see it.
Oh,
yeah, it was a very interesting finish.
Yeah, I can do the updated tiebreaker too, real quick. You just keep going. I'll do the math real quick.
Yeah,
this is literally not like.
Yeah, him pointing at the sideline is not a fair catch in my eyes.
No, he's pointing at the gunners. He's letting the ball the gunners in front of him. Ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was anyone also surprised at how little Ferentz argued?
Yeah, I don't get it. And then PJ Fleck kind of came out and he's like staring at the play happening, and then after the game in the press conference, he's talking about like the fact, it was 100% a fair catch. Well, why didn't you say anything on the field like when it was happening? Like you knew what you were doing.
I don't. It was very weird. And here's the other thing: he could have given the fair catch, but I think he thought the ball bounced.
Yeah,
and he thought he could return it, which technically you can, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think it changed to where you can.
Okay, well, anyways, they called it an illegal fair catch. So that's the other thing that like confused me. I don't know. It was a debacle all the way around. Yeah.
So that's good on that one.
Okay, you play Wisconsin and who else?
So we play Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Purdue.
Yep. So if I'm doing it right, Penn State is currently 5-9, Michigan is currently 5-7, and then you would be 3-8. 6 and 6.
So I mean, the one loss situation is still available. It kind of takes.
You got to play them both though too. So
yeah, it'd be a little bit different than what it was, but I mean the calculations are still there. Next game.
Listen, I told you guys, man. Listen, not you guys, but like just the people in general. Like reverse line movement is a thing. All right, Vegas has some pretty good when it comes to reverse line movement. It happens maybe 5 to 10 times a year, but when it happens on a bigger game like this, you know what's going to happen. That's the type of stuff where you can say Vegas is rigged. Again, I hate when people do it, but that's when you're like, wait, the reverse line movement and a horrific call that completely changed the game. Yes, those are the things you got to lead the argument off of me. I don't take you seriously.
I mean, the game's still 22-29. The game still would have went under.
No, I'm saying Iowa would have scored a touchdown and covered.
Yeah, true. So that bowl eligible Rutgers wins 31-14 over Indiana. I don't know how many people saw that at the beginning of the year, but they're kind of just coasting through.
I can't say that I didn't see that, but I mean, with their schedule, it was kind of, I thought, a no-brainer that they were going to at least get 6 wins, but to be this early, I mean,
6 wins was crazy.
I mean, Temple, Virginia Tech, and Wagner were their non-conference. Pretty much terrible, but I mean,
if you're an underdog against Virginia Tech, at least.
No, I thought they were favored. I mean, they blew Virginia Tech away. I mean, they dominated Virginia Tech.
And Tech beat Purdue the next week. Rutgers is a good program.
So
hate
wait,
the coach.
hold on. Rewind that. Did you just call Purdue a good program?
No, I said Rutgers is a good program right now.
Oh, okay. I was like,
this is probably like one of their better years since the random year that they were ranked like top 10.
And guess who was the head coach then?
Probably Schiano part one.
Greg Schiano. Yes.
But
So
I think personally, Greg Schiano is a morally corrupt individual, but I'm a little biased.
So Gavin Wimsatt, 3 rushing touchdowns to lead him to victory.
That one was like an 85-yard one.
Yeah, he's all over the place. 143 rushing yards is pretty good for a quarterback, that's for sure.
With Zach yards,
yeah.
I mean, hey, you know what? 39 passing yards, we'll take it for Rutgers.
Yeah.
Somehow blew them away, 31-14, and blew them away.
Yeah, the leading receiver in this game had 1 catch for 35 yards, and the leading passer 126 yards. And in a Big Ten East game, not even a West game.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
oh, man, the best division in college football had a really bad game.
Yeah, so then the next game, Wisconsin, comeback win over Illinois, 25-21, 18-point fourth quarter comeback with the backup quarterback. So I mean, they're kind of figuring out, and I mean,
no,
they're
Wisconsin stinks.
There's still a race for that first spot in the West because of the minimal points that the West score at this point.
I really wonder, and you'd have to go back in time. What is the least amount of points a division in college football has scored? Because this year's Big Ten West may be challenging that.
Yeah, they have like I think the leader has like 123 or something. Yeah, the Independents. Yeah.
Conference USA. No, actually, they got a few really good offenses, but.
And hey, you know what? That next game on the schedule. Oh man, Northwestern Nebraska. Woo!
Yeah,
Barn burner.
17-9. Even man, like double digits seem to be hard to find in the West some weeks.
Nebraska, they could almost run the table. Not completely.
They could most definitely.
I think I mentioned last week. I was like, they kind of got it all in front of them.
They have a couple games that they can most definitely win and make it be bowl eligible.
They are super hurt though, man. My goodness.
Yeah.
I'll be very honest with you. If Nebraska plays Minnesota right now, and I know Minnesota just beat Iowa, but I think Nebraska might beat Minnesota.
Yeah. That game one, Jeff Sims was being a terrorist. That was tough.
So now we'll move on to the big games of the weekend. First, we'll start off with the Ohio State-Penn State game, the Marv game more so than anything. A big day for him, 162 yards and a touchdown. Seemed like they couldn't really cover him all that well. Cozy, what are your thoughts? You were there. You lost your voice. You sounded like you couldn't even talk by the end of the day.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys got the snap after the game. I was Mickey Mouse pretty much through and through. I had no voice. I was screaming. It was an outstanding game for the crowd. I'll say that. And I don't know if anyone remembers my prediction. My score was 27-10. Man, I'm going to tell you what, I was one basically touchdown away from your 27-12, 27-10. Overall, there were some times where I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, can we just put this away? The one thing was when it was 10-6 and we basically we basically went for it on 4th and goal. Like, I don't know why we keep going for it on 4th and goal. I get it. Like, you want to like catch them off guard, things like that. But come on, guys. Like, you got to be able to score in the red zone. I get Devin Brown got hurt, which he's out for a few weeks. There's got to be something better that we can do in the red zone. That's very worrisome. This defense is for real, although I can't even say that because I don't really know how good Penn State is. Drew Allard looked completely rattled. He looked like the crowd was in his head. Everybody was in his head. And then here's the thing. We also did not play a perfect game. It was by far not even close to a perfect game from our standpoint. I can tell you that. If you really want to get technical with it. I mean, we lost the turnover battle. it was a pretty big swing and turnover too. It was 10-6 at the time. I know Penn State fans are all pissed off because they returned a fumble for a touchdown on the Kyle McCord strip sack, whatnot. That flag was thrown way before it. And it definitely was a hold. It was the right, correct call. I mean, it wasn't even questionable to be close. They can complain all they want. It was a big momentum swing. I will say that. But overall, once again, red zone, definitely a factor. But here's the thing. Even after that fumble on the punt, which still don't even want to talk about, that was just terrible. Just get out of the way. They punted. We went down, scored a field goal. Then they, for some odd reason, decided it's 13-6, and we're going to go for it on our own 43, 4th and 4. Once again, James Franklin, lifetime contract at Penn State. Please, I beg you.
Yeah,
lifetime contract.
There was a couple plays, couple big things that I wanted to touch on just real quick because I did watch most of the game. Drew Allar throwing the ball 42 times on the road with Singleton averaging 5 yards a carry, and you give him 0 handoffs in the fourth quarter when he could single-handedly probably bring their team back into the game, realistically. I mean, there was a couple moments where the left side of Penn State's line, I could see it, was kind of bullying Ohio State's defensive line at moments. And they didn't even take advantage of running to that side very often. I think that there was a lot of things that, they could have done that would have capitalized in the game, but it just seemed like they just wanted to throw the ball, and it wasn't like the best idea. The one thing I really didn't understand was going for 2 at the end there. And you get an extra point and you're only down 7. Play for overtime at that point. You're coming from behind. Play for overtime. Give your team a chance. I mean, the defense was help. I mean, the defense other than Harrison was giving them, disrupting the offense of Ohio State for most of the game. And I think that if their offense could have just got 1 or 2 possessions where they got something together, they could have came back into the game, but it didn't seem like they just gained any momentum.
And the thing was, we tried to establish the run, and we just were not establishing the run. I mean, the offense over as a whole was not amazing, but when we needed it to be, it was there. There was enough offense to be there to get us the win. I'll say that. And I mean, it was kind of a comfortable win. I mean, kind of worrisome we missed a field goal to go up 23-6. They came down, scored that touchdown right before the end of the game. But once again, you're right. Stupid, like James Franklin, another Ohio State Penn State game where he's like the MVP. Mm-hmm. I mean, just literally goes away from his bread and butter. I mean, he tried establishing the run with Katron for some reason late in the game. I don't know if was there any report that Singleton was hurt, injured, anything like that?
Didn't seem so. No. Yeah, they ran the ball 18 times with their 18 times with their 2 running backs in the whole game.
Yeah.
Ohio State ran the ball 42 times.
And Katron, and I'm not mistaken, Katron Allen, he had 25 yards.
Yeah.
I think they each got 9 carries, right? Yeah. So I mean, overall, good defense on shutting them down, but it just seemed like they wanted to go in there and prove that. And hey, trust me, the people sitting behind me, they were students at Penn State, and every time Drew Allar came on the field, they were like, 5-star from Ohio, Drew Allar, baby, the savior, here he comes. And I'm like, are you guys in James Franklin's ear? Because he's going out there and he's looking stupid. He looks like he is not a 5-star quarterback, and you're putting him in bad situations. You're putting him in 3rd and longs. And it just overall, I mean, it was not a great called game from Franklin. I said,
statement.
Yeah, I mean, other than that,
fired on the field. I'm being dead serious. Okay, so there's a few things. I got 4 or 5 things in this game. So one, your first drive, first play, what was it, a 7-8 yard run?
Yep.
Pass, punt. Idiot.
Yep.
Second drive, Singleton, 15-yard rush, 15-yard rush, 3-yard, 4, or another 5. We got 3 first downs on 3 runs.
Yeah, and then you go away from
pass, which was a sack. Freaking screen that Aller threw into the stands because he can't throw a football. And then they run it. And what's the run do? Oh, 9 yards on 3rd and 15. Field goal. That's right there when I was like, okay, great. Then you've got the ball on 3rd and inches on your own 40-yard line. Okay, Drew Aller isn't a lot of things. Okay, dude's like 6'5", 240. That should be tush push, no problem.
Yeah.
Let's throw the ball and then punt. I have no problem throwing the ball on 3rd and inches if you're going to sneak it on 4th. No problem. Seriously, no problem. Throwing a screen is insanity. 2 JTT side too, which is dumb. And then you don't run the QB sneak and you punt it. Then when it's like 4th and 2 on their 40, you don't go for it. But then when it's 4th and 6 on your 40,
you go for it. Yeah.
And mind you, Aller, if you extrapolate Aller before the last drive, okay, he was 10 for 30 for 105 yards, no touchdowns. Okay, he was averaging 3 yards a pass. He was throwing 30%. Okay, I said last week he was Cade McNamara in disguise. That might have been too much praise. That's where we're at right now.
Okay, so I'll even say that there was still 7 minutes left in this game in the 4th quarter, and you go for it on 4th and 4 from your own 40 instead of punting the ball deep and pinning us deep.
Defense.
Where you already had, if there was no holding, you would have had a touchdown return, fumble, scoop and score for a fumble. You're down 7 points. Instead, he literally decided to go for it. And I remember sitting there going, is he like this dumb? Like, is he this dumb? Like, does he just get into these games and just think, you know what? I'm going to go try and play Madden and work. I mean, look, hey, the year, what was it? I want to say 2018. I think it was 2018. They went for it on 4th and 5 at their own 40, and they were up by 6 points, and they did not make it. Now, I will say this. At least that was a better pass play than Trace McSorley draw play up the middle on 4th and 5. Because that was their 4th and 5 then. Now this is their 4th and 4. They were down by 7. But I don't – were you that concerned that if you decided not to go for it and punt us deep, that you were going to be SOL and we were going to go down and score? Because, I mean, our offense wasn't exactly moving the ball. I mean, to be honest with you, the missed field goal – that was another thing. It proved right there our offense was not moving the ball. We gained 6 yards after you turned it over on downs again, but you kind of had to go for it on your own 40-yard line. And I actually just looked it up real quick. They actually went for it on 4th down from their own 43-yard line twice. It was the exact same yard line, 43, but they had to go for it at that point. It was 20-6.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
now here's the thing. Did they maybe figure some stuff out on the last drive? Granted, we kind of went into a little bit of more of a prevent defense, and we're just don't get beat deep.
I don't take prevent defense seriously.
No,
huh?
I don't take prevent defense seriously in the slightest. They should take those stats out.
But they actually ran some tempo. And it looked like they moved down the field a lot easier when they ran tempo. It looked like they kind of knew what they were doing. So,
does anyone know what James Franklin did during halftime?
He didn't make any adjustments. I can tell you that.
Goddamn hat is what he did. That stupid ass hat. That's all he changed. He came out with that dumb white hat.
I didn't notice that because I was literally
he was bare bald head, and he put on that stupid ass hat with the big S. That makes no sense. That was what he did during halftime. And my mom literally goes, he's not a hat guy. He's not a serious coach. I'm not worried. Because my mom watches as much football as I do. And she was like, yeah, this is big. She actually, I think, fell asleep next to me. She's like, literally goes, wake me up in November. This is nothing. Because again, people are making the argument it's elite offenses or elite defenses. Someone could also just say that these are two very mid offenses. And I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah, I think there's
think about it. And I'm not trying to get in front of my own guy, but Marvin Harrison should be in New York. Well, let's just be honest here. Again, I'm wearing the Michigan, but if he was not on this team would be struggling to make a bowl game, and I'm being deadly serious.
A couple games he takes over.
4-3 at least.
What games would we have lost?
Maryland.
We would not lost Maryland. We would not lost
Notre Dame and Penn State. Yes.
The Notre Dame and probably the Penn State.
Maybe
what was the biggest play of the Maryland game? An 80-yard catch by him. Listen, man. That's him. It's him. Right. Stover's good too. The rest of that roster, garbage.
So here we go.
Julian Fleming, 9 yards. Come on, Cozy.
I mean, I guess we're just we're big underdogs going to the big house.
Oh, here we go again. Underdogs. Here comes the underdogs again.
Do you see what happened with the spread? Interesting.
Yeah, it went from 4.5 to 7.5 or something.
Good. Keep going up. And you know what? I think it should be over 15.
I mean, you would have covered it the last 2 years.
So we'll talk about the final game, the nightcap.
Maybe you had all our signs.
Now Blake's smile comes right back up. I just want to say that it was a great moment, finally getting to meet another member of the podcast at the game. It was an awesome moment to finally get to talk in person. For the game on the field, it was an absolute embarrassment. There's no other way to put it. We had no answer for anything. 49-0. Probably one of the most lopsided first halves I've seen in a college football game, other than in a football game, the Lions on Sunday, which was probably more lopsided. 1 first down, I think, maybe even less. It was a crazy 250 yards to 100 at most. It was Michigan all day, and it really proves to show why they're top 4 team in the country at this moment.
Yeah, it's rarefied air to have the Heisman Trophy favorite be my quarterback. That's kind of crazy. He's just surgical out there, man. I mean, everyone's been doing this whole thing. It's been saying, who's he playing? I mean, he's making these crazy throws. That throw he had to Loveland that basically grazed Cal Halliday's head. And you can even see in the replay, Cal Halliday goes he mouths what the fuck? As it comes past, he's like, how the hell did this get here? He's doing things, man. And I know it's again, it's Michigan State, blah, blah, blah. Listen, okay, I was on record. My friends can attest to this with the Joe Burrow LSU team. I bet against them, I think, literally every single game. And I kept saying, oh, they're playing nobodies. I said that, and I was like, wait a minute, this is them beating Oklahoma in the playoff game. I'm like, maybe everyone just is okay, and they're just that much better. I'd love it if that's the case with my team, but look, I mean, it was a pretty interesting game plan. I think there's a lot of similarities between the way Michigan State attacked Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State tried to attack each other. A lot of blitzes making the teams try to stop the run. And, linebackers are crashing. What does that mean? Tight ends are going to eat, and Michigan's tight ends went mental. I was very surprised with how efficiently we were playing on third downs. I think the stat was on third downs of 8 or more yards, we were 6 for 6 in the first half. And if it wasn't for a very bullshit call at the end of the half with Donovan Edwards.
That was confusing.
He was false starting, I guess you could say, in theory, but there was 12 seconds left. They did a 10-second runoff, which
because the clock said
0.
Because it had the 8 on the clock, so it was really confusing because the refs didn't add in the extra time when they blew the whistle.
Correct.
And it was like they should have had one more play, but I mean the big thing was the one person that I would say is a question mark still for Michigan, and I get it, they're winning 49-0. You shouldn't be nitpicking one small player, but Donovan Edwards has not looked the same as he did last year, and it's kind of showing evident. He had a couple of rushes where, I mean, our defense wasn't up to par for most of the game, but when you're running 2 or 3 yards backwards in plays and getting maybe 1.5 yards, 2 yards, I mean, he averaged 2 yards a play. I mean, that's a little question mark going into the playoffs
it's
or
weird.
into the later season. Yeah, it's very weird.
He only had 3 or 4 good games last year. The Penn State game, he killed him. Ohio State game, obviously. Purdue against, the championship game. And then the TCU game, he played pretty well. I mean, kind of. He had 1 or 2 good runs. But, I mean, really his whole career, he's been kind of banged up. He had a ton of injuries this offseason. I mean, he played in the TCU game with the freaking torn meniscus and a broken hand. So like he's been banged up the whole time. He didn't really have much of an offseason, but yeah, it's tough when you got a converted linebacker coming in doing his thing. We had Ben Hall come in, running the ball, no problem. Our third string or fourth string quarterback and gunner on special teams on the kickoff team, Orgy, came in at the end and scored. Like, everyone was moving the ball but him. So, I'd love to have. I mean, it's great for me that he's going to come back for another year, but he's got to figure something out for sure. And it's kind of like the Jahmyr Gibbs thing with the Lions. Quick comparison, where it's like he's not really the guy you want to be banging up between the tackles, and they kind of like to do it a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a question mark. I mean, if he does come back, it's like, is he going to lose his starting spot to another running back type thing because of the fact that he just?
I would say right now is running
because
back.
Like, is there enough of that factor where he can break off 5 or 6 yard runs? And so far it hasn't really been evident. But yeah, I mean the run game wasn't too effective for most. I mean, Michigan's passing was electric. JJ was making unbelievable throws. I mean, that, like you said, there's a reason that he's the Heisman favorite at this point. I mean, he's up there with a couple other quarterbacks that I would say are very much in the running.
He loves like the Derek Jeter, where it's like roll to your right, throw cross spot. He does it every time.
I mean, it's hard to say anything wrong about them because they just played it to their strengths right in the middle of the field, and JJ was throwing dimes all game. So
he is young a little bit. Like when he got sacked when he was running backwards, he loves to do that a little bit too much. Like he hates throwing it away, i.e. Bowling Green game. He just hates throwing it. You got
to throw it away.
You're fine because on the season he's got the same amount of incompletions as Aller and McCord did combined in that game that they played. But he hates throwing the ball away.
So yeah, there's not much else you can say. Michigan won. Big shocker.
I'm so glad all these are recorded.
I thought we would have some points, but it didn't unfortunately happen this day. I mean, we barely.
By the way, it was very classy of Michigan to score with 8 seconds left.
Did you see what happened the play before when the guy blindsided him and should have been targeting? He handed the ball off 4 seconds later to the guy, hits him in the back of the head. Like it happened earlier in the game too. So there was 3 ejections, I think, from Michigan State.
There was one. There's one bad ejection, and I mean, there's no defending that. That's piss poor. I mean, unfortunately, it happens. I can't. There's nothing you can defend. I mean,
the player Burrows, the guy that was brutally assaulted in the tunnel last year, got an interception. My guy.
So,
but again, last shout out from this game. Obviously, shout out to Zach because he stayed the entire time. Shout out to my friend Caden as well. They stayed the entire time in the very cold and misty conditions. But I'll give credit to Michigan State. It was relatively loud. I mean, they had I would say an 85% full student section for a night game where it was you're 2-4 and you're going to lose.
If we would have played anybody else that night, it would have. And in a night game, it would have been probably. It would have been a closer game, of course. It probably would have
stayed. It was loud at first. It was good. Yeah, I give them credit. And I was saying at the end of the game, this is how I would handle my university, if I ever end up being a university president. The kids like Zach that are staying towards the end of the game, those kids need to get put on the list, and they get early access to football or to basketball tickets and all that other stuff. Because if you're out there, and there was one damn kid that was dancing up and down with a shirt off the whole game. That kid. Dude, you're gonna get hypothermia and be sick, but
it wasn't the great weather.
Nothing. You've got Hitler on the scoreboard, and you're losing your rival by 7 touchdowns. What could go worse? And
he had to bring up the Hitler situation.
Hold on. Can I ask, what was your athletic department thinking?
So it wasn't the athletic department that
it's 10 degrees of separation.
Runs the system. So basically, before every game, students get in there 2 hours before the game, so they have to do something to entertain them. So they put up random trivia videos from YouTube.
Oh, and they just decided that Hitler would be a good trivia.
No, the company who does it just puts up random trivia videos.
Just Google trivia on YouTube and put up a video.
It's literally called the trivia, the question trivia YouTube channel.
I think you
guys
just
a random question.
You really need to maybe kind of check on it before they put it up there.
I mean, it's not like it was saying who killed all these people. I mean, it was just asking where he was born, but I still understand.
I mean, it's a fair trivia question, but putting a picture of him is just objectively.
Yeah, it's objective. And after everything,
they're going to fire the kid and they got to apologize for it. I think it's a little dumb, but
I mean, it happens.
And actually, the way Jonathan Edwards is treated by Michigan State media, I actually don't have a problem with that.
Overall, I will say this. Michigan looked the part of a national contender. They looked great. They looked very capable against a very, just say, inferior opponent. I mean, dude, Michigan State, there's a lot of question marks for this team. Who's going to be the right hire? Who's going to be the guy who leads them forward? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yep. So let's just move on real quick to look ahead at some of the ranked games from this or last week, or look back. Florida State 38-20 over Duke. I don't know if he played again this week.
No, he did.
And then he got hurt again.
I checked the scores of this game. No, he's fine. I checked the scores of this game. It was 20-17 Duke, and Duke was on the inch line.
So I actually watched this game, and Duke probably should have won.
Yes.
Duke should have really put the hammer down. And let's just put it this way. Duke kind of really screwed this thing up. So they were basically on the 1 inch line, and they decided they weren't really on the 1 inch line. They had it 4th and 3 from the Florida State 4-yard line. And they decided to, they had an incomplete pass is essentially what happened. They turned it over on downs. But no, also, what's his name? Riley did play, but for some reason they kept bringing him in and out. I don't know if they didn't. I don't know if they didn't trust because he was not having a good game. He just looked really off. Overall, Duke kind of made this competitive. Duke had Florida State on the ropes. Loud environment, everything. I mean, Joe Campbell was really rocking, honestly. They were very much into it. And then the next thing you know, as soon as they had the turnover on downs, it was pretty much a 95-yard drive. And then Duke went 3 and out. And then Florida State scored again. It was a really good drive by Florida State. I want to say it was let me look it up here. Yeah, it was 14-play drive down the field to take the lead, 24-20. And then, like I said, Duke went 3 and out. It was quick 3 and out, and it was shit. They're not gonna. They have to hold them here. And then Duke's defense just got too tired. That was pretty much it. And the athletes took over. Florida State has more athletes than Duke. That's essentially what happened in this game. But overall, I mean, Duke's not a bad team. I mean, they are definitely they're going to win one more game and go to a bowl game for sure. And probably, hey, you know what? Well, we'll get to it. We can talk about another game after. If you want to keep in the ACC, we can talk about another shocker in the ACC.
Yeah, so we'll go down the list a little bit more. Texas, 31-24 over Houston. Quinn Ewers injured in the game. He's going to be out a couple weeks. So I think
who came in?
Who came in?
Yeah, continue.
Malik Murphy. Yeah, so we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. It's going to be some great film, in my opinion, for Malik Murphy to possibly transfer to some other schools next year. Should be interesting to see where.
I'm very interested to see who plays Michigan. Who's the quarterbacks in the Michigan-Texas game next year?
Malik Murphy, Arch Manning. We'll see what happens.
Quinn Ewers is going to have to come back. I would say he's hurt. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if how long it's going to be realistically.
And by the way, before that. Before Quinn got hurt, this was not. Did you guys catch any of this game?
No. It was during our game. I was scoreboard watching on the scoreboard. But
yeah,
it was tied in the fourth quarter.
So yes, it was very much so tied going to the fourth quarter. I think Texas might have been up by 3 going to the fourth quarter. I think they kicked a field goal right before the fourth quarter, and then what really changed this is Houston drove down the field and then they throw a pick. I think it was at the 25-yard line of Texas, and that really swayed them. Well, here's the thing: it didn't even sway the momentum that much, but it was okay, you kind of felt it okay, this is their shot. They got to go down and they got to score. And then even though they got it back to be a 24-24 game, you still kind of felt okay, Texas is going to pull this out. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Even though Quinn's hurt, we're still going to be fine. And that's pretty much essentially what happened. But I'm going to tell you what, Houston, though, their secondary they have no idea how to tackle. They can't tackle. There had to be at least 10 to 12 missed tackles alone in the third/fourth quarter, from what I could see.
So yeah.
So I will say this: having big noon kickoff, I hated it, but at the same time,
I get to watch everything.
I got to enjoy the rest of the day. Like, I got to go to a bar, sit out, watch as many games. Went to a tailgate where they had YouTube TV and they had 4 games on at one time. So it was like I actually finally got to kind of enjoy the whole college football day.
All right. So then, yeah, I mean, that's sick. I'm glad that we're actually our next home game's a noon game finally, because we have one every year, it seems like, and it's kind of nice that it's finally at the end. Oregon 38-24 over Washington State. They're kind of struggling at some points. I know it was a close game for a little bit, but then Oregon pulled away. Tennessee loses to Alabama and gets blanked in the second half. Alabama.
2 halves.
Yeah, 2 halves. Tennessee was up 20-27, whatever. The score is 27 at halftime. It gets blanked in the second half, lose 34-20.
So I would like to apologize to Vols Nation. I didn't start watching this game until the third quarter.
Yeah.
I literally sat down and I go, 27. Oh shit, this is for real. Like, Tennessee's going to take down Bama again. Like, man, this is going to be something. And I just sat there and I go, you got to be kidding. Like, what an awful second half. And also, all these people who love Josh Heupel, stuff like that. I'm not that impressed. I just think, I mean, and Blake, would you like to speak on their quarterback situation? Because, I mean, we can.
It was not his fault. It was not his fault. I would love to blame it on Milton. It was not his fault at all, I would say, in the first half. He was playing out of his mind.
Squirrel White had a stick catch.
The issue was Squirrel's catch was unbelievable. I said it was like a water balloon when you catch it and it kind of like goes through your hands.
Yeah.
He caught it like this, like with his fingertips, like by the top of the white circle of the ball. He caught it like that, and the rest of the ball was hanging below. It was crazy. But
the one question I want to really honestly, I really want to have this. I really have a major question here. And this is going to be, why did they go for it on fourth down up when they're winning and they're at midfield?
Yeah.
Why go for it?
I think it's just this is the second half, correct?
It was, yes. So they went for it. So basically,
you could really see the momentum was slipping.
It was
quickly, and that was like a kind of like a game feel where it's like we can't give it back to them. They just went like they scored in like what 2 plays in 5 seconds, like out of halftime. They scored.
I think, yeah.
The clock was 14 in the front when they scored, so it was under a minute. Like they were.
Yeah,
like,
I want to say it was
so
like.
I think it's like we need to stop the tide here.
Yeah, and I understand it. And I understand that they had scored the first 10 points of the second half and everything, but you still were midway through the third quarter and you're winning at Bama. Like, I don't know. It was a very gutsy call. I really didn't like the play call either. I get it was like 4th and 1, but.
And that's their finesse back, too. They've got 2 power backs and a finesse back.
Yeah.
It'd be like if you had, Corum and Mullings, and you're like, we're going to have Donovan Edwards run up the gut.
Huh?
Exactly. Yeah. It made no sense to me. It was very questionable play calling. And then, I mean, after that, then the wheels just completely fell off. I mean, you're still in the game though. I mean, you're down 27-20 and you get the ball. And then the next thing you know is you fumbled the ball. And it was just, once you fumbled and you had the scoop and score by Bama, you were just kind of like, yep, this game's over. They have no shot. Like everyone just kind of knew. I mean, that was midway through the fourth quarter too. But I'm going to tell you what, Bama in the second half, they looked the part of back to being a national contender kind of.
Yeah, that could be the start of the championship DVD, as they always say. But the issue with Tennessee is 24-yard field goal good, 26-yard field goal good. I mean, those are from the 8 and the 6. I mean, their red zone offense, man. Incomplete pass, run for 1 yard, run for no gain, field goal good, and then the other drive, run for 1 yard, incomplete. I mean, they're throwing end zone shots. I don't know. It's
I mean, not only that, you're also getting. I mean, you also literally were up 10-0 on Bama, and they fumbled the ball at their own 23-yard line. Like you had
the end zone. I mean, everything was going your way.
Yeah, like you had the shot to literally just put this thing away in the first half almost, and you didn't do it. So, I mean, like I said, I sat down for this game. It was third quarter, and I go, wow, 27, man, they must be really going to pour this thing on. Like Bama is Bama, and they're not very good. So
the next game,
yep,
the second biggest upset, you could say. I mean, not really a huge upset, but it was the second biggest game to impact the college football playoff. The Utes of Utah go into Southern Cal and upset USC on the last second field goal, 34-32. Same thing as every week. USC's defense is struggling. Not a surprise there. I mean, that high of a score, Caleb Williams with 0 passing touchdowns. I mean, you're not going to win games like that if he's throwing for 0 touchdowns.
They had their safety. Utah had their safety playing offense, and dude went crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, what?
Yep.
And then the big upset of the week.
That's it. You can go more.
You can go more. You can go more.
Throw athletes out there on offense against USC, like anybody, and get the ball in their hands. They can't tackle. They might be one of the worst tackling teams I've ever seen.
They don't.
I didn't watch the game, so I don't know. I don't know on that one. With the game,
when you look at it, obviously everyone's going to say the kid's going to opt out. I think he will because he's a very soft individual. I don't think it's the correct move, but I think it's what he's going to do. I mean, when you lose to Notre Dame, who's not good, and you go Lions or Wolves don't care what the sheep think, and you go out there and you get blanked by Utah for the 4th time in 3 years or 3rd time in 2 years for him, dude. Let's have some reality check. And more importantly, USC runs quick up to the line, a lot of checks to different things. And when they're subbing late, Utah brings on their 4 or 5 things. There's the thing in Tennessee I watched was doing it in South Carolina and some of these hurry up teams. They'll sub one guy on offense and try to go. And then the defense will take their time and they'll just walk off the field. Like 7 of them, 7, switch 7. And then you get to the ball and you don't like your read, but guess what? 5 seconds left in the play clock. You got to go for it. You can't audible with 5 seconds left to delay a game or a timeout. So that kind of screwed them there. And the quarterback's run at the end of the game, dude's a legend. It was like 4th and 2 on their own 40, and he ran for 25 yards in the comfortable field goal range. Shout out him. That kid's awesome.
Yeah, and then the big upset of the week that probably no one saw coming. 1-5 Virginia takes down number 10 North Carolina 31-27. A poor showing at some moments from Drake May for sure.
I don't know if it was on him. It was just Virginia dominated UNC up front. Who would have thought, man? Like Virginia's not good. Some idiot up here picked UNC minus 23.5 and gave it as one of his best plays. Like, listen, man.
I wonder who that guy is.
Exactly. I've seen Virginia play. They're not good, but
that is
Virginia. I mean, obviously heartbreaking. All that shit happened last year.
Yeah.
Best calendar year later, you beat.
At some moments,
a 24-point dog outright. Holy shit!
At some moments, people were saying that they were the worst team in FBS.
I thought they were going 0-12. Dead serious.
Yeah. Like they started off so bad. They looked like they weren't going to beat anybody. They beat William and Mary, and then now they beat.
It's not often the other team leads every stat category and they lose. It's crazy.
Okay, so this game, I didn't catch any of it, and I just kept seeing the bottom score, and I was like, "What is going on? Like, how is Virginia beating UNC? Like, how is this possible?" And from what I've understood is they decided to try and have a Drake May Heisman moment game where they just kept having him throw the ball all day long. and that's why they lost. I don't know. I can't believe that Virginia, we're talking about Virginia taking down an undefeated North Carolina team. And, I mean, they're not a bad team, but, man, to lose to Virginia, is this probably one of the worst? I don't know what the point spread was, but
23.5.
That's it?
Blake knew it because he gave it out as a pick this week.
I was confused. That's it was my exact reaction. That's why I took it like an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess. I mean,
yeah, why did I not do
closer to 30? Like 30.
It should have been like 40. Virginia's terrible.
Yeah, you would think, but they came out and ran for 228 yards, and their quarterback went 20 for 30, and had almost double the QBR as Drake May. I mean, there's no issues with that. I mean, they dominated running the ball. That's for sure. No other thoughts about that. I don't really think there's anything else on that. So yeah, let's talk about a couple games this week. See what we like. See what we don't like. See when we're done with the season and it's basketball season.
Can I make one comment here quick? Arizona State, Washington.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a big game.
So there was a play in this game, and I don't know if you guys saw it. Arizona State threw a kind of fade down the sideline, and there was a no call on this. And the Washington player, I mean, it was probably one of the worst missed pass interference calls I've ever seen. I mean, it was bad. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah, some of the PIs that they didn't call were insane.
Oh, I mean, it was like, are you guys like trying to fix this for Washington? And I was shocked because I was like, Washington struggling with this essential D2 program right now in Arizona State. Like, they are not a good program. They are bottom of the – they might be – man, I thought Virginia was, but Arizona State might be the worst Power 5 team right now because Virginia just beat North Carolina. So, I don't know. Very disappointing out of Washington this week. Maybe a letdown game. I agree. But, man, I'm going to tell you what. Some of the PI calls were a little bit questionable. But we can move on to this week.
Yeah. So a couple noon games, Maryland, Northwestern. I mean, there's not really much going on there. I think Maryland should come back and figure it out this week.
Now, what does that make you think? I want you to stop and think about what you just said.
Yeah, that Northwestern's going to win the game after last week. I don't know.
Also, Kevin Sumlin was arrested, so Josh Gaddis has the full reins.
Oh, no, Lord help us. The other noon game is Penn State at home against Indiana. They should be able to kind of – who knows?
You know anything about Franklin, that's about to be a murder scene.
Yeah, it's about to be like 60-0.
Like 42-0 at half.
Yeah.
32.5-point line, take Penn State cover.
Yeah.
Take the alternate half. Holy shoot!
Take the alternate spread as high as you can go.
They're going to cover the over themselves. The over 46 are going to cover themselves. That's my line of the week.
Purdue at Nebraska at 3:30. Michigan State. We go to Minnesota. I don't know what really to expect. I think if we can get our offense clicking the way we did against Rutgers, this could be a game where we can come back and bounce back and get a win.
7's a lot of points.
To gain confidence. Yeah, I mean, Minnesota's defense is just, in my opinion, not that good.
They're going to run the ball on you, and that's it.
And we kind of stopped the run last week. I mean, Michigan.
You did.
Michigan gave up on it. Yeah.
Was that?
And,
happy bye week.
Yeah, you get a bye week.
Thank God. I need it. But, hey, we have a more busy bye week than anyone in the country. So I want that. Michigan's strength of schedule needs to factor in how tough this bye week is on me, okay? This is our toughest opponent yet is the goddamn bye week.
And then the final game at night, here comes Saturday night, Ohio State at Wisconsin, for them to jump around and probably make a fool of themselves this week with a backup quarterback.
Key to the game is, key to the game for us is get up early, get the crowd out of it. Don't let that crowd is is very. I'll put it this way: the crowd is wild there. It can get rocking at night. It's a totally different environment at night. Just score early, get up early. I'm not too worried about it. If we take the crowd out of it. So other than that, I think we win by. I think they might cover. I think
it's gonna be like 20 plus. I think it's not any.
It should be like 3 scores.
I don't think it's gonna be a game.
The only
I think
thing
it's gonna be like
Joe has going for him is your run defense isn't that good, and Braylon Allen's insane. And
okay, you guys are here. You guys are hearing this. They are more confident than I am. Maybe because I've been very worried about every game, but
I think this is another game for
Luke Fickell is the only thing I'm worried about. That's it.
I think this is a game for McCord to really prove that he's last week was just kind of a top 10 game, and they're playing a top 10 defense, and that he's actually able to sling the ball all over the field. I think it should be a little interesting. I mean, look, they don't have their starting quarterback. I mean, they're going to try to run the ball the whole time. I mean, it's kind of like Notre Dame, but it's a kind of a washed down Notre Dame team.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I was on the bye week this week too, right?
Yeah, Iowa, Illinois,
and Rutgers.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the 4 teams. Let's go into some bigger games this week. See what we got. First one.
Shout out Miami beating Clemson and Dabo being Dabo.
Yeah, Dabo's saying some wild things on the internet. I don't know what's wrong with them. Honestly, can he just give us their offensive coordinator at this point? Like, I'll take him.
Because I did the game just popped up. I was looking at the schedule here. Oklahoma. Okay, they barely beat UCF. A lot of top 10 teams are barely beating people. Michigan's won by 40 in 4 straight games.
Here we go. Always. Yeah. So
you know what? Maybe you just should be like maybe we should be like a 35-point underdog.
Yeah. 35-point underdog. Yeah, so they don't win by 4 in that game. Couple games noon. Oklahoma at Kansas. It's a 10-point game. I think that should be a little bit more interesting than people think, especially after Oklahoma struggled last week. They're on the road again.
Yep.
I would say that's probably an interesting game. Georgia's first game after their bye without Brock Bowers at Florida. 14-point favorites.
Well, it's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. So
yeah, so it's not. It's a
down from 24 to 14.5.
Yeah. It is. It's climbing way south. I'd like to take. I'm going to take Florida to cover that.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Georgia this week. I think they're more motivated than they were before. Oregon versus Utah. That's kind of like one of the key marquee games of the week. Can Bo Nix do what Caleb Williams couldn't do last week? And it's on the road.
Okay, so it is on the road. I will say, man, I really like Oregon, but I feel like Utah has Oregon's number 2. I feel like Utah's haven't they beat them like 2-3 years in a row? Maybe I'm wrong.
Utah's killing people.
Yeah, Utah was good last year. They beat.
Yeah, I always feel like they lose a game that they're not supposed to, but then they also play very well at home.
Very well coached team for sure.
The line's 7, which is weird to me. I feel like that's a lot. I feel like the 49 seems like a lot too. I feel like this is going to be like maybe like a 21 to like 17 kind of game.
Yeah, I looked it up, like the statistics. Somebody said that the score was going to be like 17-9 or something.
Yeah,
it's going to be like really low scoring.
I think it's going to be very low score. I have a low scoring, and I think Utah covers.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with that, especially this week. Duke plays at Louisville. Duke's kind of in that weird spot where they kind of desperately need to bounce back here, but Louisville's kind of been rolling for the last couple weeks, so it should be interesting to see. I mean, they lost 1 game.
This is actually very interesting here. So you're looking at now, you're trying to get who's going to play Florida State in the ACC title game.
Mm-hmm.
You have Duke, you have UNC, and you have Louisville. Duke plays both of them. So this is kind of like essentially possibly the game where we might see some like movement in the ACC finally. We might get to know who Florida State's going to play. It's a pretty big game. I like Louisville at home, to be honest, especially with Riley not being 100% still, obviously. So
that's that one. I mean, there's a couple more games that are a little interesting. Kentucky, Tennessee. We were talking about Ohio State, Wisconsin. Colorado goes to USC or UCLA.
Fun to watch.
It'll be fun to watch. It all depends. I think they're done with Dante Moore for a little bit. I think they're going to go back to Carson Steele.
Big Colorado fan. I like Colorado in that game.
Or not Carson Steele.
Love Deion Sanders. Great, upstanding individual.
Not Carson Steele. Who's their quarterback? What's his name?
Ethan Garbers.
Oh, so now you like Deion Sanders, huh?
I've been a big Deion guy. I'm looking at a sweatshirt over here from Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
wonder why you like him today.
Probably one of the better games of the week. The nightcap, Oregon State travels to Arizona, who has been causing issues for every team in the Pac-12 so far.
The line's 3, man. I've been betting Arizona for the whole year, like plus 20 against these good teams. They're almost winning them. They found out my freaking team.
Yeah,
Michigan State head coach Jed Fish.
So it should be interesting to see what happens. It will probably be some
a great game.
Close game. Yeah, it will probably be some close game. Heck, we might see overtime again. How many overtimes can they play in this year? Who knows? But yeah, I mean, that's
going to be 8. 8 now. I'm looking at the ranked here.
Yeah.
Now. Nice.
So, they played a couple games.
Yeah, kind of a snoozer week, kind of. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, they've played in 2 overtimes games so far. So let's see how many more they can do.
People, it's apple picking weekend. So.
Yeah, so it should be a little bit of an interesting weekend. Basketball's kicking back up. We played 2 exhibition games this week. Hillsdale and Tennessee. I know that Cozy's team has played an exhibition already against Dayton. Michigan starting this upcoming week. And a big hockey kind of kick right now. I know we're kind of all in the top 20 rankings right now. I don't know. Blake, do you know who Michigan's got this week?
Red Wings are very good.
Yeah. There you go. I know we play. We play at number 3 Boston College this week, which should be a strong telling on where our team's actually at going forward. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I went to the game the other day, and we were up 4-1, and we were playing with a 3rd-string goalie in his first home start. So it was very interesting to see.
We're at Omaha this week.
Okay.
I honestly have no idea. I mean, we had a good weekend this past weekend, but
a split.
Really,
I mean, it was split, so
it was a split, kind of.
Not really,
kind of a split.
I don't know who won. Did somebody win in overtime?
For Big Ten standings,
7-1 and then tied.
Shootout win by us.
They played Lindenwood this week.
Big Ten standings.
Lindenwood.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen, basketball season and hockey season start when the full season's over. Because in years past, I cared about opening day, and thankfully now I don't really care until hopefully January. Or they cancel Michigan for the season, like a lot of people wish. Don't worry, I remember all you people. No one on this podcast. I remember you guys.
Hey, I don't want Michigan canceled. I can't wait to go to the Big House this year.
Yeah.
Other Ohio State media groups disagree.
So, I think that's all we got for this week. Not a whole lot this week. And
it's honestly a very bad college football weekend overall. There's 2 top 25 matchups, and everything else is just kind of average. I don't even know. Is game day? Where's game day at? It's got to be.
It's at Oregon.
Okay, so yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say probably Florida. I guess Oregon works.
I was gonna say Florida, Georgia, or is it
Josh Pate's in Florida.
Oh, okay. So, other than that, great week. Once again, we show our dominance over Penn State, and like they all said that they were going to beat us all summer. Once again, sit down there at 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. You said Penn State was going to win, idiot.
Hey, they had many opportunities. It's just, Franklin gonna Franklin.
You don't want me to talk about your team because we'll sit down there in 6th.
I don't even know what place we're in. We're somewhere. We're on the board at this point. But yeah,
Happy to be there.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to watch football. While I'm sitting here.
I'm
sitting here in the stands, hearing that there's an orgy in the end zone. So
yep.
So
love it. All righty.
Great week.
Yeah, I think that's all we got.
Yep. Go Bucks.
Right. See you guys next week.